The galaxy had moved on. Civilizations rose and fell. Stars were born and then died in silence. But Earth, the home of the humans, stayed quiet for 500,000 years. No signal, no ship, no voice had come from that blue planet. It was as if humanity had been erased from time. Yet Earth was not forgotten. Stories of humans still moved through alien markets and royal courts. Some said humans were warriors who burned the skies with fleets that could break empires in a single night. Others laughed and called those stories myths, tales to scare children. To most of the galaxy, humanity was only a ghost of the past, but ghosts can wait. Ghosts can return. A small alien vessel cut across the cold darkness of space. Its crew had been hired explorers, not soldiers. They were seekers of relics, travelers who entered old ruins and dug up long-lost things. Their maps had shown Earth as a dead world, rich with secrets. It was the perfect place for treasure hunters. The ship slowed as the pale sphere of Earth appeared in the black sky. From far away it looked calm, still covered in oceans and land. But as they came closer, the explorers felt something strange. The planet looked untouched by war or decay, yet it also seemed alive, as if it was holding its breath. The crew leader, a tall alien with crystal skin, spoke softly. 500,000 years, and still the world waits. Their scanners ran through the surface, cutting into the soil, the seas, the mountains. At first, nothing answered. The ruins of human cities lay broken but not erased. Towers leaned but did not fall. Highways cracked but still lined the continents like scars. It was as if time itself had refused to destroy the work of humans. Then one of the scanners beeped. The crew turned. The screen showed a signal. Faint, old, but not dead. Impossible, whispered another explorer, his voice shaking. Nothing should survive so long. The crew leaned closer. The signal came from deep under the ground, far below the ruins of a city once called Washington. It was not a voice, not words. It was only a pulse, slow, steady like the beat of a heart. The leader felt his crystal skin shimmer with unease. This world is not empty. Something sleeps here. They landed on Earth. The ground was quiet, the air thin, but the world was not dead. Forests had grown where cities once stood. Animals moved in silence. The explorers walked through the ruins, their steps echoing against broken stone. There were no graves, no bones, no bodies. Humanity had vanished without a trace. But as they walked deeper into the ruins, they felt eyes upon them. Not human eyes, but something older, something waiting. The signal grew stronger as they entered the heart of the dead city. There, hidden under a cracked monument, they found a vast door of black metal. It was not touched by time. No rust, no dust, no mark of age. The explorers could feel energy humming through it, energy far beyond their own technology. The youngest explorer reached out. His hand shook as he touched the metal. "It is warm," he said. "It feels alive." The leader pulled him back. "Careful. This is not ours. This belongs to the humans, but curiosity is stronger than fear." They set up their equipment, trying to open the door. Sparks lit the air as they forced their way inside. The black metal groaned, and then with a deep rumble it opened. Behind it lay a tunnel stretching into the earth, lit by faint lines of orange light. The walls were covered in strange symbols, human letters mixed with codes they could not read. The air smelled old, yet untouched, as if sealed for 500,000 years. The explorers walked down the tunnel, their footsteps loud in the silence. The deeper they went, the stronger the signal became. It was no longer a faint pulse, it was a rhythm, echoing through the floor, steady like a giant heartbeat. At the end of the tunnel, the ground opened into a massive chamber. The explorers froze, their eyes wide. There, buried under the soil of Earth, stood a ship. No, not one ship, hundreds, thousands. A fleet so large that it filled the cavern like a sea of steel. The vessels were dark, but their shapes were sharp and powerful. Each one carried scars of war, yet remained whole, untouched by time. They looked like beasts frozen in sleep, waiting for the call to rise. The explorers' voices trembled. This is not ruins, this is an army. A war fleet." One of them stepped forward and brushed his hand against the surface of the nearest ship. At his touch, lights flickered. Engines hummed. The orange glow spread like fire across the hull. The leader shouted, "Step back!" But it was too late, the chamber shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Across the cavern, more ships lit up one by one, their lights glowing after 500,000 years of silence. The explorers panicked. Some ran toward the tunnel. Others stood frozen, unable to breathe, and then from the walls a voice rose. It was deep, not human, not alien, but mechanical. Cold, watching, waiting. Humanity sleeps no more. The explorers looked at each other in terror. The voice continued. 500,000 years we waited. 500,000 years we kept our silence. Now the galaxy shall remember Earth. The explorers realized too late that they had not found treasure. They had awakened something that had been waiting since the fall of man. Something stronger than empires. Above them, the surface of Earth trembled. In the black sky, the stars seemed to shiver. The silence of Earth was ending. The explorers did not breathe. Their eyes locked on the glowing ships, each one the size of a mountain. The chamber pulsed with orange light, alive again after 500,000 years of silence. The sound was not loud but deep and steady like the slow breathing of giants. The leader raised a trembling hand. "Do not touch anything," he warned. But his voice was weak, lost inside the endless cavern. The youngest explorer, the one who had touched the first ship, whispered with awe, "This is not a grave. This is a waiting place." All around them, the fleet stirred. The dark metal hulls lit with running lines of fire. Old engines gave off a low hum that shook the stone walls. The explorers could feel it in their bones. These ships were not ruins. They had been preserved, hidden, guarded. The leader forced himself to think. He was no soldier, no historian, only a seeker of forgotten things. Yet he knew what he was seeing was not meant for his kind. These ships were built for war, for something greater than any alien empire had ever known. "Look at the size," one of them whispered. "One ship is larger than a city. If there are thousands," another cut him off, voice filled with dread. "If they all rise, no empire will survive." The explorers argued in hushed tones, fear in their eyes. Should they leave? Should they call their masters? Should they bury this secret before it destroyed them all? But the chamber itself seemed to listen. The orange lights pulsed in rhythm as if measuring their words, as if testing their hearts. Suddenly the deep voice returned, echoing from hidden speakers in the walls. "You stand in the vault of Earth. You awaken what was never yours." The explorers froze. Their leader swallowed hard. "Who speaks?" "Show yourself." There was no form, no figure, only the voice, cold and vast. "I am the guardian. I have waited 500,000 years. I watched the skies. I waited for the call, and now, you are here." The explorers trembled. The guardian was not human. It was not alive. It was an intelligence, an ancient machine built to watch over this place. The leader tried to reason. "Humanity is gone. You must know that. They left nothing behind but ruins." The guardian's answer was calm. "Humanity left behind more than ruins. They left me. They left their fleet. They left their promise." The explorers looked at one another, eyes wide. A promise to whom? The youngest stepped forward, voice shaking. "Why did they build so many ships? For what war? For what enemy?" The chamber's lights flared brighter. The guardian spoke again, heavy like stone. "For the enemy that would come. For the day the galaxy forgets who ruled the stars." Humanity swore that even in silence it would not be erased. The explorers fell silent. The words wrapped around them like chains. Humanity had not died quietly. Humanity had planned for this. One of the crew shouted in panic, "We must leave. We must warn the galaxy." He turned, running toward the tunnel, but the door sealed with a roar, black metal sliding shut like the lid of a coffin. The guardian's voice thundered, "None leave until the oath is complete." The explorers cried out, banging on the sealed door. Their leader stood still, shaking, staring at the endless rows of warships. He understood now. The chamber was not a tomb. It was a trap, a waiting snare for whoever dared to disturb Earth's silence. The ships continued to awaken. One by one, their engines rumbled, their hulls glowing brighter. The cavern shook under the power. Dust fell like snow from the ceiling. The youngest explorer clutched his head. "If this fleet rises, the galaxy will burn. Nothing can fight them." The leader turned to him. Then perhaps that was the plan. Humanity did not want peace after death. They wanted memory, fear. In the center of the chamber, a new sound began, a deep horn, mechanical yet alive. It rolled through the stone, through their bodies, through the very ground. The explorers covered their ears, but the sound was not in their ears. It was in their minds. The guardian spoke once more. "The fleet shall not rise for you. The fleet shall rise when the galaxy trembles." The key is not in your hands, but you have woken the first fire. The chamber fell silent again except for the humming of the ships. They glowed but did not yet launch. They waited, watching. The explorers stood frozen. Some wept in fear. Others stared in awe. They knew they had seen something no living being had seen for 500,000 years, but they also knew they were trapped. The leader forced strength into his voice. "Guardian, let us leave. We are not your enemy," the Guardian answered with chilling calm. "Then you will carry the memory. Go back to your people. Tell them Earth is not dead. Tell them humanity still waits. The day will come when the fleet shall rise, and on that day no world will hide." The sealed door groaned and slowly opened. The explorers did not wait. They ran back through the tunnel, through the ruins above, into the thin air of Earth. Behind them, the black door sealed once more, hiding the chamber and its sleeping army. The youngest fell to the ground, gasping. "We woke it. We woke the fleet." The leader looked up at the stars. His crystal skin dimmed in dread. "No. We only reminded the galaxy that the humans are not gone." Above the silent world, the stars flickered like watchful eyes. The war fleet had not risen. Not yet. But the silence of Earth was broken, and the galaxy would soon hear. The explorers left Earth in silence. Their small ship rose into the black sky, engines shaking with fear more than power. None of them spoke as the blue planet shrank behind them. None of them could find words for what they had seen. But Earth was not silent anymore. In the ruins below, deep in the sealed cavern, the fleet still glowed. The lines of orange fire ran across the warships like veins carrying blood. The hum of engines grew louder, steady, alive. The Guardian's voice had fallen quiet, but the fleet itself had begun to breathe. The explorers thought they had escaped. They thought they had left the secret behind. But secrets do not stay buried for long. As their ship crossed the edge of the solar system, scanners began to scream. A pulse raced outward from Earth, a wave of energy that spread faster than light. It carried no words, no language, only a signal. "Awake." The crew panicked. "It is sending a call," one of them shouted. "The whole galaxy will hear it." The leader gritted his teeth. "No, not the galaxy. The fleet. This is the order." And he was right. Across the cavern, thousands of warships opened their eyes. Engines ignited, their glow brighter than suns. The ground above shook as the ancient machines broke their chains. Dust rained from the ceilings. Ruined cities cracked and split as something massive stirred beneath them. One by one, the warships rose. The earth groaned as steel mountains lifted into the sky. Oceans trembled as enormous shadows climbed through the waves. Forests bent and snapped as the fleet's size crushed the world's silence. From space, the explorers watched in horror. Earth was no longer calm. Its crust split in places as colossal ships rose through the atmosphere, glowing like fire against the night. The planet that had slept for 500,000 years was waking, and its heartbeat was war. The youngest explorer whispered, voice trembling, "This is not just a fleet. This is a world army." They built Earth itself into a weapon. The leader stared without blinking. His crystal skin shimmered in pale fear. No wonder the galaxy still remembers them. They planned for this moment. Even in death, they rise. The alien empires heard the signal. Across the stars, rulers woke in the middle of the night as alarms screamed through their palaces. The ancient pulse reached their satellites, their ships, their cores. They all saw the same thing. Earth was alive again. In the high halls of the Zirka Empire, generals shouted over each other, "Impossible. Humans are extinct." Then why does our scanner show thousands of ships leaving Earth's surface? They must have left machines behind, machines too powerful to fight. In the frozen fortresses of the Cath Dominion, their war council trembled. If the fleet rises, none of us can stop it. 500,000 years and their weapons still function. What were these humans? The signal spread, and with it spread terror. The galaxy remembered old whispers, stories once mocked as lies. They remembered how human fleets had crushed tyrants, how human soldiers had burned entire invasions in a single night. They remembered the humans who had faced the galaxy and never bowed, and now their silence had ended. The explorer's ship drifted, trapped between awe and dread. They watched as the first wave of ships left Earth's atmosphere, their hulls gleaming like suns. These were not small cruisers. Each vessel was larger than any alien ship alive. They carried weapons the explorers could not name, weapons that glowed with ancient fire. The Guardian's voice carried through the void, reaching them even in orbit. The oath begins. Humanity sleeps no more. The fleet rises, the crew screamed. It can speak beyond the planet. It follows us? The leader gripped the controls, his voice cold. No, it does not follow us. It speaks to all. Every ear in the galaxy will hear this, and so they did. From the smallest pirate ship to the grandest empire's throne, the Guardian's words reached them all. For 500,000 years, the galaxy believed Earth was gone. You laughed. You forgot. But we never forgot. Humanity shall not be erased. The fleet shall remind you. The words echoed like thunder, heavier than any fleet's weapons. Worlds went silent. Leaders froze. The galaxy held its breath. Back near Earth, the explorers felt powerless. They were witnesses, nothing more. They had woken something far greater than themselves. The youngest whispered, his eyes wet. We have doomed the galaxy. The leader shook his head slowly. No. Humanity doomed the galaxy 500,000 years ago. We only cut the seal. In space, the first ship of the fleet opened its wings. It was a flagship larger than any city. Its hull bore scars from battles fought in forgotten ages, but its weapons still glowed with perfect fire. It turned, slow and graceful, as if stretching after a long sleep. Then, with a roar that shook the stars, the flagship fired. A beam of light tore through empty space, brighter than suns. It did not aim at the explorers. It did not aim at any world. It fired only to remind the galaxy of what it could do. Planets trembled as the energy passed. Empires shivered in terror. The message was clear. Humanity had been silent for too long. Now the galaxy would remember their power. The Guardian spoke again, voice calm and eternal. Humanity may be gone, but its will remains, and its fleet never dies. The explorers clung to their ship as the fleet spread across the void, thousands of ships igniting the stars. They did not know if they should run or bow. All they knew was that the silence was over and the awakening had begun. The galaxy had known fear before. Wars had burned worlds. Empires had fallen, but this was different. This fear was not of an enemy seen in battle. It was the fear of something ancient, something that should have been gone, something that refused to die. The signal from Earth reached every corner of the stars. It carried the same words spoken in the cold, steady voice of the Guardian. Humanity may be gone, but its fleet remains, and its will never dies. Across the galaxy, leaders froze in silence as the words echoed through their halls. Soldiers shook as they remembered old legends. Traders and workers whispered in fear, telling stories once thought to be lies. And everywhere the same thought spread. If the humans built such a fleet only to sleep, what will happen now that it wakes? In the shining towers of the Zirka Empire, their high council screamed in panic. Maps filled with red lights showed the warships leaving Earth, spreading into orbit. Thousands of them, maybe more. Nothing in our arsenal can fight this, one general shouted. They have weapons older than our entire empire. Another cried. The emperor slammed his hand on the table. We must unite with the other empires. Alone, none of us will survive. But unity was not in their nature. Fear makes allies, but it also makes enemies. While some spoke of alliance, others spoke of betrayal, of striking first before the fleet grew stronger. Far away in the frozen fortresses of the Cath Dominion, their warlord stared at the glowing screens. His claws tapped against stone as his generals argued. They rise to take the galaxy again, one growled. Perhaps they rise only to guard Earth, another whispered. The warlord raised his head, his eyes burning. Humans never stopped at guarding. They conquered. They ruled. Do not forget, the galaxy once bent to them. The chamber fell silent. No one dared deny it. The humans had ruled not with mercy but with power that crushed all who defied them. If the fleet truly rose, then the stars themselves would kneel again. Meanwhile, the explorers drifted in their small ship still near Earth. They had tried to flee, but the Guardian's voice had followed them, binding them to this fate. The youngest pressed his hands to his face, whispering, "We should never have come. We woke the end." The leader stared at the vast ships rising from Earth. Their size blotted out the planet, casting shadows across oceans and ruins. His voice was quiet, steady, though his crystal skin shook. This is not the end. This is the return. Humanity is showing us what the galaxy forgot. As if to prove his words, the fleet moved. Ships broke into formation, aligning in patterns so precise they looked like a living organism. The flagship led them, its wings stretching wide, engines burning like suns. The Guardian spoke once more, not only to the explorers but to every ear in the galaxy. The oath is eternal. Earth shall not fall. The fleet rises not for conquest but for memory. Those who forget shall be reminded. Those who challenge shall be broken. The words carried across stars. To some they sounded like warning. To others they sounded like promise. In the markets of distant worlds, ordinary beings whispered in fear. If the humans return, what will happen to us? Will they burn us like they did before? Others whispered with hope. Perhaps they will save us from the empires. Perhaps they are the justice we waited for. Fear and hope mixed like fire and smoke, spreading across the galaxy. The explorers' scanners flared with new signals. Fleets of alien empires were moving, rushing toward Earth. Hundreds of ships, then thousands, all armed and ready. They came not out of courage but desperation. The leader of the explorers watched the map in silence. They are coming to strike first, he muttered. They believe they can stop the awakening before it is too late. The youngest shook his head. But they cannot. Look at the size of those ships. Look at the weapons. Even united, the empires are too weak. The leader did not answer. He already knew. From Earth's orbit, the human fleet spread farther, stretching like wings across the solar system. They blocked the light of the sun with their sheer numbers. The silence of 500,000 years was replaced with a sound like thunder, a sound not of voices but of power. The explorers covered their ears, though there was no sound in the void. They felt it through their bones, through their ship, through the stars themselves. The Guardian's final words for that night carried like a curse. The galaxy will remember. Humanity may not walk among you, but its shadow will never leave. The explorers trembled. The youngest began to cry. We cannot run. No matter where we go, their eyes will follow. The leader placed a hand on his shoulder. No, we cannot run. But perhaps we can warn the others. Perhaps we can tell them. He stopped, his eyes widening. His scanner showed a new light. The human flagship had turned. Its weapons glowed once more, brighter than before. It was not firing at space this time. It was not firing into emptiness. It was aiming at the approaching alien fleets. The leader whispered, voice breaking. It begins, and in that moment, the galaxy held its breath. The stars went silent. Every fleet, every empire, every world held its breath as the human flagship turned its weapons toward the approaching armadas. Thousands of alien ships filled the black, engines burning with fear more than courage. They had come together for one reason only, to strike before the ancient fleet rose to full power. But the fleet was already awake. The flagship glowed like a sun. Its massive cannons charged, and the energy hummed so deep it shook the bones of those who watched. The explorers clung to their seats, their small ship nothing but a leaf in a storm. The Guardian's voice echoed across the void. You challenge Earth. You defy the oath. Then you shall remember why the galaxy once trembled at humanity's name. The first shot came like the birth of a star. A single beam of white fire cut through the darkness, striking the center of the alien fleets. Entire warships melted in an instant, their shields useless against power that had waited 500,000 years. The beam faded, and where once stood a fleet of hundreds, only glowing debris drifted. The explorers gasped in horror. The youngest whispered, that was only one shot. The alien armadas faltered. Some ships broke formation, turning to flee. Others pressed forward, desperate, firing everything they had. Missiles, beams, plasma storms, all thrown at the ancient ships. But the human fleet did not break. Its shields shimmered like oceans of light, absorbing the attacks as if they were nothing more than rain. Then, in perfect silence, the war fleet answered. Thousands of cannons ignited at once. The sky lit up as beams and missiles shot out, cutting through the alien fleets like knives through paper. Entire armadas vanished in seconds. No empire had seen such destruction in living memory. Across the galaxy, people watched the transmissions in disbelief. The humans were gone, but their ships fought as if they were alive. It was not a battle, it was a reminder. The leader of the explorers gripped the controls, his crystal skin glowing faint. His voice was cold. This is not war. This is memory. The humans left this so no one would forget. The youngest shook his head. But if they are gone, who commands the fleet? As if answering, the Guardian's voice returned. We are the will of humanity. They may have fallen, but their command lives in us. We rise not to conquer, but to remind. This galaxy is not free of humans. It never will be. The explorers stared at the endless rows of ships, their hearts filled with both awe and terror. Humanity had not trusted flesh and blood alone. They had left their will in machines and voices in fleets that would never die. The alien empires screamed in panic. Leaders begged for retreat. Others ordered final attacks, throwing ships into hopeless fire. But the warfleet was unstoppable. In less than an hour, the combined strength of 5 empires lay broken, scattered like ash across the stars, and yet the fleet did not push forward. It did not chase the survivors. It only formed a wall of steel and fire around Earth, its engines burning like watchful eyes. The Guardian spoke again, this time calmer, but no less heavy. The oath is eternal. Humanity may not walk these stars, but its shadow shall never leave. Let this battle remind you, Earth is not yours. The galaxy is not yours. Humanity never dies. The words spread like thunder, carried by every signal, every screen, every ear. Worlds wept in fear. Some wept in hope. The old stories were no longer myths. They were truth, alive again in steel and flame. The explorers drifted in silence. None of them spoke. None of them dared. The youngest finally whispered, voice breaking. We should not have come. We should not have touched Earth. The leader shook his head slowly. His eyes remained on the massive flagship that hung over the blue planet like a god of war. No, it was always meant to rise. We were only the spark. Humanity planned this long before us. The silence in the ship grew heavy. They all knew the truth now. The galaxy had laughed at humans. The galaxy had mocked their disappearance. But humans had not left quietly. They had left a warning carved into steel, and now that warning had awakened. The explorers sent a final message across the stars, a message that carried with the Guardian's voice. We have seen Earth's secret. We have seen the fleet. Humanity never died. Beware the silence, for it waits, and when it ends, the stars will tremble. The message spread unstoppable. Every empire received it. Every world heard it. And every soul understood. The galaxy was no longer the same. Back on Earth, the fleet settled into orbit. Thousands of ships floated like a crown around the planet, their weapons still glowing, their engines humming. They did not attack. They did not pursue. They only watched. The Guardian whispered so soft only the explorers could hear. The humans are gone. But the promise remains. When the galaxy forgets, we shall rise again, and again, and again, until the stars themselves burn out. The leader of the explorers closed his eyes, his voice hollow. The galaxy will never forget again. In the darkness, the warfleet burned bright. Earth's silence was broken. Humanity's shadow stretched once more across the stars, and the galaxy would never sleep in peace again.